Bill, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having us here.
You represent a prestigious name in the area, Rice University, the business school, and being dean. As I was just asking you earlier, every business school has a certain focus, and you can't get away from the fact that you are in the energy capital of the world. So the focus has to be the energy sector. The question I'm going to ask you, the multi-layered questions. One is, it's not by choice, but by the nature of the vicinity around you. You have to focus on energy. When you look and compare yourselves to the other business schools who are energy sector focused, where do you think the differences are, and why do you think you excel in this, apart from being associated to the industry?
Right. Well, yeah, as a premier business school, first and foremost, like other top business schools, we have to have real strength in the core disciplines: accounting, finance, marketing. Sure. And we've done that, and we've done quite well at that, continuing to move that up. But being in Houston means that we always have access to incredible talent for adjunct faculty, visiting speakers, et cetera, who can come into the class and bring a lot of real-world experience around the energy sector. Layering on to that, you get faculty, the research faculty, who constantly deal with questions, issues from the students, and they've learned quite a bit about the energy sector as well, and figured out sort of the unique features about accounting within the energy sector, unique features about how do you market in that context. And so they've learned quite a bit. But at the core, we are still focused on that leadership development, the real focus being to get folks who have technical skills to get the first job, but more importantly, are promotable.
I want to take you out of this country for a moment, then we'll come back. Yep. Because you're dealing with energy. I'm sure you attract a lot of students from the regions where there's a lot of energy right. Businesses. When you attract the talent from outside, from the regions I just mentioned,
yeah.
What are some of the pluses of coming to a school like yours?
Well, part of it is plugging into that network of folks we have connected with the school. It's the way they think. It's our strong research faculty will ask tough questions and get people to really think differently about how they do business. And although we do have clear expertise in energy, we've got connections in energy, we still pride ourselves on throwing people together in a diverse mix in the classroom. So it's people from pretty heavily energy, but from other industries as well. But we also look for geographic diversity in terms of our incoming students coming from different ethnic backgrounds. And so part of what that does for our students and for students who are companies that want to send people here for energy is to operate in energy today, you have to have that global mindset. And so if you come into a classroom where it's highly diverse, and you're working on a team with people who think very differently than you, and they're asking different questions, different perspectives, that really helps in developing that global mindset. And so that's sort of the sweet spot for the energy industry, but it's also been important for all of our students.
One of the other opportunities you address, as you mentioned earlier, from the school is entrepreneurship. The startup capital is a lot steeper than starting an IT startup. It just takes nowadays and pretty much unmentionable money. So how do you address this issue of a couple of professionals have worked, let's say, for 2 decades in the sector, they want to come together now and start their own startup in the energy sector, because the panels are not the same.
Yeah, well, some of them are similar in terms of being able to do that type of startup, but fortunately, Houston does have a great source of capital for startups. This year, one of our alums came out. She's been out for 3 years now and won the Wall Street Journal Startup of the Year. And her technology was a sensing device, which is going to be used in the energy sector, where it can track fumes coming out of whatever and tell you if there's anything that you need to worry about. Okay, that didn't take a whole lot of money. I think they're now looking for a round of funding will get them to a 10 million mark, but they did come up with a million fairly quickly after graduation. We ended up with one team that they met as part of the executive MBA program. We assigned them to a team where our goal was to assign a diverse team. So one of the guys was really good on chicken, raising chickens. And another guy was coming out of the energy sector, and by the end of the program, they decided to start up a new business. One of the partners had a family farm up near Chicago, so it was worth something, so they bet the farm. And within 2 years, they paid back grandmother, bought her a house down here, and had a multi-million-dollar operation running.
See, so these are stories we don't normally hear when we talk about startup, right? When you talk about startup in today's parlance, it's all about technology startup. So it's good to learn cases like these. The other thing we want to learn from you is, if you look back the last couple of decades, entrepreneurship is all about big enterprises. The people who mostly came to study at schools like yours, where all executives are going to learn something and give back to the organization.
Right.
That has been changing, especially in the last decade or so with the startups. So when you see this trend happening, not just in the US, but around the world, how do you think schools like yours are preparing to address even more of these students coming as hopeful entrepreneurs?
Part of it goes back to giving them solid foundation in terms of the basics, so they understand the marketing, finance, and all that. Part of it's putting them in a context where people are talking about startups on a regular basis, and they're exposed to great entrepreneurs on a routine basis. They run through exercises. One is a weekend long next cool idea, and the idea is you walk in with half a dozen ideas. By the end of the weekend, you have one that's viable, that's been beaten up by a bunch of folks who've been there and done that. It's great for innovation and startup. Sort of the crown jewel in our overall entrepreneurship program too is the Rice Business Plan Competition, which is the world's largest, richest business plan competition, where we give out $1.5 million a year. It's open globally. We've had a number of IIT alums, or rather students, compete in that.
Coming to the IIT part, there are more than, I think, 3,000 IITians in the greater Houston area, and pretty much a greatest significant portion of that is invested in the energy sector.
Right.
Your association with IITians and the future collaboration moving forward, now that you are one of the biggest conferences the IIT alumni put together in the world.
Yeah. For us, it's a great collaboration. We've got faculty who are IIT alums. We've got a number of students who've gone through the MBA program who are IIT alums. So that's been a wonderful collaboration for us. Really been impressed about this conference here in terms of seeing so much support from the IIT alums for talking about education going forward, lifelong learning for all of them. But I also get a true sense of IIT alums are very proud of their institution and want to give back and help continue to develop that. And I am very impressed with that, coming from the IIT culture.
Thank you again. Appreciate you coming here.
Thank you.